This is about to be my last history tour on the old town, like Black history tour in the old town for Heygo. But I did share on the chat my Linktree, and I did share how can you support me directly if anyone can. How can I say, copy and paste. I also prepare a little badge that I used to use a lot when I started on Heygo. Those are my information. You are not going to stay without seeing me. I am going to keep doing my tours, as I said, my blockbuster tour, and the one that I feel more comfortable, and the one that I really love. I will do my sunset tours weekly, okay, or I try to do weekly as much as possible on Facebook. I know it's not the very ideal way to do it, but later on I'm going to start doing it in different ways. It's just that I need to start in a way that I feel very comfortable. Okay? But don't worry, I'll be here. You can contact me whenever you want. Some of you have added me on Facebook. I have accepted. So let's move forward. Okay? And let's talk about this beautiful place called Bahia. Big kiss for everyone. I'm going to name everyone that is here today. So Noreen is here. Thank you very much. Michael is here. Thank you. James, big kiss for you. You're not late. Tammy. Let's see who else is here. I just see you. Josie, Laetia, Anna, Kiwin, Kevin. Thank you very much. Moral, Chelsea, Hillary, Kim. Who else is here? Gabby, Josie, Sasha, Afwa, and KZ. Okay, so I named everyone that started to with me, and let's see this beautiful city of Salvador, Bahia, and let's talk a little bit about Black history in Salvador. Are you guys ready? So, this is my favorite street in Salvador. I hope you can see well. It is a little bit cloudy. Today it is the 8th of April of 2023. In theory, we are in our fall season. This is my favorite street, but I might change my mind a little bit because one of the things that made me this street to be my favorite street, it's because I had here my favorite bar, my favorite place to end my tours. And I have started so many tours on Heygo in this bar that is called Zulu. Zulu was a bar that I would always recommend to people. And I would always recommend people to come here. Hi, Tordley. Good to see you. The way is that the owner decided to close. I know James is here. James, it is finally about to come. So good news, people. Let's say clap hands to James because he finally got tickets to come to Salvador, not El Salvador. So he finally got the right ticket. So clap hands for our dear friend James that is coming to Bahia in November. Maybe we could do something together, never know. So this street here is called the Laranjeira Street, and it was one of my favorite ones, and I love to start my tours from here. I hope you can all hear me well. I hope you can all see me well. And what is Salvador and why would we talk about Black history in Salvador? As you can see, Salvador, it is a colonial city. As being a colonial city in Brazil, we were colonized, of course, by the Portuguese. I do speak Portuguese. Eu falo português. When I speak Portuguese means that for more than 300 years, for exactly 322 years, we have had Portugal as our colony that actually, dogs are coming, that actually decided, bom dia, that actually decided what we would do with our land and decided who would come here. Together with other Portuguese that, of course, came here to Brazil, we also had Africans coming here. And the way that they come here was very special because they came here to become enslaved Africans. And why is Black history so important for Bahia? Because we had the biggest amount of slavery Africans coming to America. Just for you to understand, what are those numbers? Okay, just for you to understand, what are those numbers? In the whole United States, I know some of you here are from the United States. I know that you have received 400,000 enslaved Africans, right? In Bahia, in the city of Salvador, in our port area, we did receive 1.2 million enslaved Africans. In our port of Salvador, I am in the northeast of Brazil, okay? Just to point 3 pictures in the chat, just for you to see where I am right now. I think I did not see the chat. That is going to be a problem because I cannot see the chat right now. And my other phone is not really working so much. So I do apologize, all of you, that I'm talking or stop without interacting with you. But when I finish the tour, I am going to try to go in the chat and I'm going to try to talk to you all. But right now, for problems, we are having a problem like me trying to check your chat. I cannot read your chat. I know you probably are talking. I can see that you probably are talking, but I cannot really read it. Okay, but I will continue. Hopefully it's okay. I hope you're all here, and I hope you're all going to stay here. So why Salvador is so important? Because of the amount of slave Africans coming here. But other countries, they have also lots of slave Africans going. But what made Salvador so important in Black History, and during Black History Month, I had basically a record of booking on virtual tours. Heygo, unfortunately, this is something that I never forget. And it has nothing to do with you guys, but it's just the way that the business was built. The business was built to really support blockbuster tour guides, right? Let's say tour guides that had more than 200, 300 people on their tours and in some specific place around the world. To tell you the truth, I think maybe once in 2 years of Heygo, I have had Heygo talking to me about Black History tours. And in our Black History Month, that was in February for Canada and from the United States, both countries that had a huge amount of voyagers here. There was not a single word about trying to do something special for you. In all other platforms that I do work, and I do hope you're going to keep me following in those platforms, they support us, they promote our tours, and I had more than 10 private tours in February for those platforms. Okay, but unfortunately for Heygo, it means that is not important, but it is, because we are talking about history of millions and millions of people that were kidnapped from their continent. For the first time, we had slavery overseas. So we had an amount of slavery coming from one continent to another to be enslaved. Okay, of course you have had slavery in Europe. Of course you have had slavery before in Africa. Of course you had slavery before in other countries. But for the first time in history, during the 16th, 17th, and 18th century, we have had slave Africans coming from transatlantic boats. Those are called the caravelas, and crossing here to the continent that was called America because of Americo Vespuccio, that also named our bay that we have here. We have a bay in Salvador, Bahia, that is called Bay of All Saints. So that's the biggest bay in Brazil, and that's what made Salvador Salvador. I have another tour in the afternoon. If you can join, we are going to talk specifically about the construction of the city of Salvador, but I'm sharing here 2 maps. The first map, it is a map of the slavery trade, and the second map is a map of Salvador. Salvador was built to be a wall city, and Salvador was built to be the capital of Brazil in 1549. Those churches that I'm showing you guys here are the 2 churches of San Francisco. I really, really, really wanted to do a very specific tour about that church over there. that is the third order of San Francisco. I did not have time to actually do it. That's our most beautiful church when we talk about the facade of the church. And I did do more than one tour in this specific church here that I'm going to show you a little bit from away. That is called our San Francisco church. That it is also called the Gold Church, the church with more gold that we have in the country. Considered one of the most beautiful church, and the Portuguese themselves named it as one of the 10 wonders of the Portuguese around the world. Okay, but we're not going to talk about the Portuguese so much in this tour because this tour is about Black history. So why it's so important to have a Black history tour? It is very important to have a Black history tour because the history of our ancestors, the history of the Black community, tend to be erased most of the time from the history books. So I did once a tour on Heygo. We are in the Cruzeiro de São Francisco. This is the most noble area that we have in the old town of Salvador. This is considered the most beautiful square, or one of the most beautiful square that we have here. In the past, it looked a little bit like this. I'm going to put like a postcard of this area that I'm going to show there. That's our cathedral. So imagine that here in the past lived the most important families. And one of the things that is erased in our history book, it is this building here that has been renovated. It's been renovated. But this building here is the headquarters of Sociedade Protetora dos Desvalidos, or how we call it, SPD. The SPD the first is basically the first Black association that we have in the country. Okay, it was created in 1832. End of slavery official in Brazil was in the 13th of May of 1888, and for 190 years, celebrated last September, we had a number of Black people, a number of Black members of this society fighting against racism, against inequality, and against religion intolerance. So this building here, it's not in our history books. When you come here, if you do regular tours, they are going to go to the Gold Church over here, and they are going to go to the cathedral over there, but they are not going to stop in this building. But if you come here and if you book a tour with me, I am going to go inside the building. We are going to talk with the members of the directory, probably of that society, and we are going to study the history of some very important Black people, just like Manuel Quirino and just like Luis Gama. I have had a very specific tour about Luis Gama, but I'm going to talk about him once again because I think it's very important. That's the picture that I'm putting in the chat of Luis Gama. Luis Gama was born in Bahia in the 19th century. I have there some Baianas taking pictures. I'll show you guys there, the Baianas taking pictures. Luis Gama was born here in Bahia in the 19th century before slavery. Unfortunately, he passed away in 1882. If I'm not wrong, I think it was 1882 or 1884, but a little bit before slavery. He was born free because he came from a free mama. His mother, her name was Luisa Main. She was a Muslim, from the Muslim community, from the Islamic community that we have here about slavery. She was part of a very, very famous rebellion that is called Revolta dos Malês. The Revolta dos Malês, it is how we named the rebellion that was made by the Black community of the enslaved Africans in 1835. They wanted to make Salvador not just free, but they wanted to make a community, a Islamic community here in Bahia. Okay? So this is my dear friend Thelma. Fica aqui, Thelminha. So just for you guys to have a last shot of Thelma here. Thelma, she has been a Baiana for more than 40 years. Just a quick stop in our Luis Gama story here. She is dressed just like a Baiana with this beautiful European laces, European style, but she's also means resistance. That's why she has her beautiful turban in her head. Her turban, it is registration of her ancestrality. In Africa, this is a crow, and we kept using this because women in Bahia, black women in Bahia, are queens and are representation of our first working ladies. And those necklaces here, for you guys, I remember my tour about Orisha. We are going to talk about Candomblé a little bit further. Those are the necklaces that represent the protection that we have. So if you come here, you can take pictures with this beautiful lady here, Thelma. And what she does is just like the costeiras that we had in Cartagena, right? Or just like the ladies that does cigars in Cuba. You can come here, take a beautiful picture if you want to take this beautiful picture with us and do. And just to make sure that you understand, every time that you guys do a tour with me, if you guys can share in the chat again my link at three and my link to support me directly if you want after this tour. I do share my money with those ladies. Obrigada, meu amor. Last year, besides giving them money every time that I finished the tour, I gave them at the end of the year for Christmas, I gave them quite good tip for thank you very much for helping me during my virtual tours. So the money that you pay me on Heygo, most of the time doesn't go only to me, it goes also to the local community. This is what I call responsible tourism. A tourist is not a tourist if he comes to a place and doesn't really help the local communities. And a virtual tour guide like me cannot be considered a good virtual tour guide if I don't share what I earn as tip also with the local community. That's why I always make sure that I have someone local on my tours and I do share the money with them. Okay, just to make sure that you know that. I hope you're all listening to me. My other phone, it is broken. Um, I cannot really check it from time to time, but I hope, I really hope that you can hear me. Okay, I really hope that you can hear me because this is a very special tour for me. And this is my last Black History tour, as I said, here in Salvador, Bahia. Okay, so let's move forward. And let's talk about Luis Gama, as I was saying. Okay, so Luis Gama, he was born here in Salvador. He had as his mother Luisa Main. He was born free. He was born free, and his mom had to run away from Salvador Bahia, as I said, because she was part of a rebellion that is called Revolta dos Malays. Don't worry, when we finish the tour, I'm going to stop in a place where I can read your chat, okay? Just to let you know. So hold your questions, because I'm going to answer all of them when I finish the tour. So his mother ran away and left his son, Luis Gama, with his father. Okay, his father, he was white, he was Portuguese, and he liked very much gambling. Okay, he lost so much money on gambling that he had an amazing idea. He got an idea to sell his own son to save his debt. So Luis Gama, although he was born free, he was sold for a farm in the south of Brazil in São Paulo. He was 8 years old. He was around 8 years old. And some people get very shocked when they listen to that. I have a very specific Luis Gama tour. I am going to add this tour again as a proper tour, just for you guys to know what I'm doing for you guys that came late. I am going to do sunset tours on my Facebook page. Okay, just for you to know, I'm going to do my sunset tours on my Facebook page, probably my professional page, just to be a little bit more organized. Probably on my professional page, or I start in my private page and then I migrate to my professional page. I just think a little bit how I'm going to do it. And I will start doing probably tours using Zoom, those those Black History tours that are a little bit more deep in history. And I did do one for Heygo, for Luis Gama, and that one I'm going to repeat for sure. Okay, for sure, just for you guys to know. So let's keep walking here in our old town because I want to finish the tour in the Pelourinho Square. That's where we're going to chat. That's where we're going to go. So Luis Gama was sold, and for some people that was horrible. That was the worst thing that could happen for someone. And of course it was, right? He was taken from his mom. After being taken from his mom, he was sold as enslaved African by his own father. And he went away from his city. He was born here in Salvador, Bahia. So he went to São Paulo. In São Paulo, one of the good friends of the owner of the farm that he was sold, he was a lawyer. And Luis Gama was always very curious about reading, okay? And he asked Luis Gama, do you want to start reading? Would you like to start reading? And he said, of course. So he started teaching Luis Gama how to read, and he was a lawyer. So imagine that Luis Gama read lots of books of law in the beginning of his reading process, right? That made him understand a little bit that he could never be enslaved. So what happened is he proved that he could not be enslaved because he was born free. He went to São Paulo city. He ended up having a tutor that was working at the law school at the University of São Paulo, what today is the law school at the University of São Paulo. And he became what is called a hábula. What is a hábula? A hábula is a person that works as a lawyer but doesn't have a degree of a lawyer. And because of Luis Gama, he freed more than 500 enslaved Africans, proving how they could not be enslaved anymore or helping them. So these men became our abolitionists, and his history was erased from our history book for many, many years. You're going to know why he came back and why he became an abolitionist. Last year, he has just won the recognition as being a PhD for the University of São Paulo. That is the best university, not just for Brazil. The University of São Paulo is the best university in South America. Okay. That's where I did my language studies. That's where I started my language studies degree. And you're going to see that. So I'm not going to say how he was that, but for many, many years, his history was erased. Just recently, he started to be recognized as an abolitionist and as a lawyer. Because of these things, it's important to follow tour guides that do Black history tours. Otherwise, our Black history is erased from it. So for you guys that are curious, like for the curly ladies that are here, those leather here, Brazil is the second producer of leather in the world. And those leather here represents lots of our culture in the northeast of Brazil, the cangaço. And I would like to invite you for tomorrow. I do have a tour in the evening talking about the carnival in Rio de Janeiro, and we are going to talk specifically about the cangaço. We are going to talk specifically about the cangaceiros, and you're going to understand all the culture in the Northeast, and you're going to understand what is Lampião. Okay, just to invite you for that. I have 3 more tours on Heygo. Right? But I keep doing my tours. So my 3 next tours on Heygo, just for you to know, it is, of course, this afternoon, I have my first real tour. I am going to do in a new version, and I'm going to do it in an even special way because that's going to be my last time that I'm going to do a live streaming walking tour in the Old Town. That's my favorite place to be with you guys. And I have tomorrow, I have a sunset tour. That is also going to be special, the sunset tour, because it's going to be my last official sunset tour for Heygo. And later on in the evening, I do have this tour that is talking about Carnival in Rio de Janeiro. Okay, so I plan to keep doing those tours. It doesn't matter how many people come to my tours. I keep doing that because I think it's a way to connect me with you guys, and it's a way to make me understand. And of course, I will need you guys, your support. I just did this buy me a coffee link. I don't even know how to use it, but I did it. I also have a PayPal, but I have no idea how to do a link of PayPal. I have to figure out that. And of course, you can follow me on my social media. And more important than just having your tips, much important than just having your money, is to have you guys understanding what is Salvador. And I'm very proud to have people like Micaela. I hope Micaela is still here, that never heard of Salvador before. And because of my tours, I hope when she comes to visit her brother that lives in Sao Paulo, she will come here. She will come to Bahia, right? Those are three artworks. They are really rough. They're not really looking good. But for you guys that have been to tours on my house, I do have a painting of this artist. His name is Carlos Carran, and I think he's one of our most beautiful artists that we have here in Bahia. I don't know if you remember, on my tours, I have a painting of a black woman on my living room. That's the same artist that does it. Okay? So, and why Salvador is so impressed when we talk about Afro heritage, right? We have two examples of black history in our city. The SPD, the Sociedade Protetora dos Desvalidos, and of course, we talked about Luiz Gama, that has had both um, the history raised. But why is Salvador so impressed when we talk about Afro heritage? The culture that we have here in Bahia, it's a mix between African, so the music is African, the food is Afro-Brazilian, and of course, the religion is also Afro-Brazilian. We also had a consequence of Afro heritage in our way of being. The Baianos, they have a very unique way to behave. Some people say that we are, I don't know, lazy, let's say like this. I don't think so. I think we just like to enjoy life the most that we can. So we are going to finish the tour in that square, and I'm stopping here because this is one of my best and favorite places to take pictures. I'm not really sure if you have had this picture before of the Pelourinho Square. And Micaela, when you come here, James too. Okay, let's talk about James. I don't know if he's still here. Otherwise, he will be a little bit jealous. But when you come here, I will take you here to the Balé Folclórico da Bahia. I never had a chance to live stream from here because it is not possible to live stream. They don't allow me to live stream. But we do have one of the best folk ballet in the world. Okay, the choreography that they have here is a very specific choreography showing capoeira, the dance of the orishas, and also samba. Okay, samba was born in Bahia. O samba nasceu na Bahia. The samba was born in Bahia. And we are very proud of that. Of course, went to Rio de Janeiro, went to other places, but samba is originally from Bahia. Capoeira is a Brazilian martial art. And in Salvador, you have a chance to have capoeira classes with simply the son of Mestre Bimba. So take a note of that because this is something that I think I've never said before in my virtual tours. I don't remember, I don't recall saying that. So this school here of capoeira that we have here in Salvador, it is the School of Capoeira of Mestre Bimba. Uh-oh, what happened here? The School of Capoeira of Mestre Bimba. Can you see me? Okay, I don't know. Now it's running funny. Well, I don't know. Now is the School of Capoeira of Mestre Bimba, and he is, sorry, it's the School of Capoeira of the son of Mestre Bimba. Not Mestre Bimba. Mestre Bimba passed away in the 1980s, so 1970s actually. And so this School of Capoeira here, Fundação Mestre Bimba, the master of capoeira. Capoeira is a Brazilian martial art. He is the son of Mestre Bimba, that is a legend of capoeira. So if you do come here to Bahia, you have a chance to have capoeira classes, not just with a regular capoeira school, but with the son of one of the most famous masters of capoeira that created the methodology to teach capoeira and is considered the papa of capoeira, the master of capoeira. So that's another door here with our painter. His name is Carlos Carran, again. So if you don't want to take postcards, take advantage of taking postcards here. Okay, so Carlos Carran is here. Okay, that's the name of the artist. That's great to know. And let's finish our tour at the main square because I don't want to go too over on my tours because I know I have other tour guides coming. They are also doing their last tours and I don't want to overlap them. I'm going to finish the tour and I'm going to go to the coffee place there to read your comments, but I will finish the tour like in like a couple of minutes. So the last part of the tour is of course our most famous square. This is called the Pelourinho Square. And in the Pelourinho Square, if you come here to Salvador, I highly recommend that you go to a place that is called Restaurant Senac. At Restaurant Senac that is here, you have the chance to try 50 different flavors of Bahia. I said 50, 50. That's a school of gastronomy that charge you a flat fee for the food. It costs 80 reais. 80 reais is less than $20. And you have the opportunity to eat and have and try more than 50 different kinds of Brazilian food or Bahianese food. The most famous one is, of course, the muqueca. Okay, the muqueca, it is a food that is made with palm oil, okay, palm oil, coconut milk, and usually seafood. I don't know if you can see because I try to, um, I try to, how can I say? I try to add a picture of the muqueca. I don't know if you could see that or not on your screen, but let me show you here because the museum is open. So that's where I wanted to finish my tour. So let me just try to show you guys here because I really wanted you guys to see the muqueca because you have to understand that we have it as one of the main things in Bahia. Olá, bom dia. Tá aberto já? One of the main things in Bahia. Let me see if it's open. Oh, no, it's closed. Oh, ele saiu. It's okay. So that's a museum. But I don't know. I hope you can see. I hope you can see the picture of the muqueca that I just added in the chat because I cannot read. I cannot read the chat. So I'm not really sure if you guys could see it or not. But anyway, this is the restaurant. Okay, take a picture. Especially you guys that are come here to Bahia. You know, Micaela at somehow it's coming to Brazil, hopefully. And hopefully she will come to Bahia. And I know James come here in August. So this is the restaurant. They have a flat fee of 80 reais per person, not included drinks. And you have the options to have more than more than 50 50 different kinds of food of Bahia. Not just Afro-Brazilian food, but what we call comida nordestina, or the food from the northeast of Bahia. Okay? So this square here is also very important because this square, it is called, can you see me? I don't know, now my phone went crazy. It's like blink.